Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Video 44 coming at you with another video. So I should have probably been having the video on for the last 30 minutes because I've just been ranting to myself comfortably after listening to my Kobe video, just going through my top five and what the criteria would be, and then that took me to another space. And basically, the conversation moved on from there in my head, and it's going on now back to the Stephen A. Smith situation, and just having watched the rest of the segment, I kind of have a more full understanding of what he was kind of trying to convey and why the apology was so necessary. Uh, the thing that bothered me about his comments more so after listening to them further was that what he was saying took away from the accomplishments that they were reading off. That's what was so offensive to me after really, really sitting down and listening to him. I don't care if a guy comes out there, and I'm not saying this as a person who loves sports from a fan's perspective. After the initial shock of, mind you, if an alien came out of the sky on a saucer, landed here, and and then decided he was going to play baseball and broke all of Babe Ruth's records, I would admire the greatness that I was witnessing. I wouldn't care if he was an alien. I wouldn't care if he's black. I wouldn't care if he's white. I wouldn't care if he's Asian. I wouldn't care. If this dude is doing stuff that Babe Ruth did, he's the premier pitcher basically and the premier slugger in the game right now. You're doing that kind of stuff? And you're telling me that no one's going to pay attention to me because I'm not white? And you're saying that as a black person whom everyone is paying attention to? It's highly offensive, fam. Highly offensive. Highly offensive. And for some reason or another, me, I jump in haste. As soon as I hear something that prompts me to a conversation, or as soon as I think of something that prompts me to turn on the camera, I impulsively turn it on because that's me saying I think I'm going to forget because I have a bad memory or whatever points are on my mind. So usually if I hear something in a segment, I stop listening after a while. That's a flaw of mine, and I immediately start thinking. And I start turning into an analyst myself. So I just turn it off. If I lose focus, just turn it off, and I turn on the camera and start doing what it is that they do myself. So that's what I did today during Stephen A's segment. After he finished talking, the first half of what he was saying, I stopped. As soon as Max was getting ready to start his conversation, I turned on the camera and I started talking. But there was more to hear and more context to receive. It doesn't take away from my opinion in any way. It just gave me more of a perspective of what was going on there. And, to be honest with you, what I said is exactly how I feel about it, right here. It was just, you can't take away from the man's accomplishments. At the end of the day, bro. If you're trying to make a statement about what you think is going to garner attention in terms of marketing, this is not the time to do it. You don't use the segment about him being the premier player to make an assertion about where you think baseball should go in terms of their marketing. That's just not. You're lacking tact in that conversation. And then from there, you started to sound ignorant in a way that was disturbing as an African American. And I'll say that knowing that I've probably said some things that are probably just as disturbing to somebody somewhere. If you look further enough, I'm sure you'll find it. But I'm not here to cast stones. It was just something I figured would be responsible of me to just speak on. But you can't just be so flippant and so dismissive of people's language barriers and differences as it pertains to being in this country. This is a country full of different cultures and different people from all over the world. And even though there are large sectors of this country that don't have those people there, they still are well represented within our taxpayers, within our voters, within the people that we do business with, within the people that we are friendly with every day in some of these very rural cities, including the city I'm sitting in right now. I have been friends with people that don't speak English very well. I've been in tough situations with people that don't speak English very well, to where they've had my back, you know what I mean, and have made sure that I felt safe and been safe. So it's very personal to me when I hear people be flippant about um, them as it pertains to their intellect. I've known people who don't speak English who have been doctors, scientists, people that I've met along the way. You know what I mean? Very, very intelligent, reasonable human beings. Good people, didn't have to be super intelligent, just great people. They do not need or deserve to be looked at as if, because they don't understand the language of the country they're in, that for some reason they can't provide intellect, they can't provide value, they can't provide interest. It's offensive. Because if I go somewhere, I want to be able to bring all that I am to that place and feel like I can gain whatever attention from their people. If I'm honest and if I'm able, you know what I mean? If I'm qualified for whatever it is I'm trying to do, I believe that I can do it wherever I'm at. So if you're gonna say that to them, that's energy that I can't receive personally. I don't appreciate that. Is what I'm saying to you. And then the hypocrisy, from which I've already pointed out, the fact that you are a black person gaining attention of white people. And I know that you were saying, well, it's specifically about baseball, and baseball is the most important thing. But no. What you're essentially saying is, people, and I hope people understand this. He's insulting you too. And white people of a certain age are not going to be interested in paying attention to anyone other than Caucasian people. Which, if I were a white person, I'd take offense to, especially if I was a sports fan, because you can't be a sports fan and not have some appreciation or at least root for some people that don't look like you. Because most of sports at this point is multicultural and multiracial in this country. We know that. Even hockey. Now your hockey team probably has a black dude somewhere on there. It's like, you can't say that, Stephen. And you don't have the numbers to back that up at this point. Not as it pertains to baseball, not as it pertains to most other things, I'd imagine. When you look at what Tiger Woods was able to do in golf, who do you think was watching him? And let's not remove his Asian heritage in the conversation, since it's so relevant. And if I were in that room, that would be who I'd bring up, Stephen A. Explain to me how even more conservative viewership in golf is paying so much attention to a black and Asian American person. And you think that baseball, who has a myriad of different fans, because there are many different nations outside of America who are vehemently passionate about this sport that's been around for over 100 years. Japan's passionate about it. Brazil's passionate about it. Cuba is passionate about it. Like, baseball is not only here, bro, and Canada, as you said. Nah. In fact, when I think of baseball, I'm thinking more so of the Dominican Republic as it pertains to the MLB, because it's a lot of players from those areas in the MLB who have been superstars, who white people have paid attention to, older white people. What are you saying, man? Mike Trout and Derek Harper are guys that just came into the league over the last 10 years, bro. There were stars before them who were not white, who those guys were paying attention to, fam. Guys who were Asian. Remember Ichiro? Huge superstar, bro. Huge. He was everything back when I was a kid, because everybody loved the Mariners. The merch that the Mariners had, we all wore that stuff when I was a youngster. Everybody had it. It was the coldest hat to have. Was that Mariners hat with the compass on it, bro? That shit was hard. So to say that baseball can't sell unless Mike Trout or someone Caucasian is selling it, it's just ignorant. It's false. You brought up Sammy Sosa, and then you proceeded to use that as an example for why what you were saying made sense, and that completely contradicted it, unfortunately for you there, which I thought was kind of cringe, to be honest. I don't know how you did that, but all in all, man, I think I just gained a greater perspective of how far away you are from understanding what it is that's wrong with what you said. The apology addressed what you should say, but I don't know that the enlightenment was truly gained. You were very flippant about people's languages. The Nigerian guys their names, very flippant about that. I didn't hear no apology about that. There's just a lot of dismissive energy that I don't want to see come from an African American. I don't want to see that. Us, and all of our stuff have been through too much for us to be dismissive of people like that. We shouldn't do that. We're not able to do that from our perspective. Not honestly. Do you understand what I'm saying? Not honestly. Now, we can pretend to be in that catbird seat, but in this country, we are not. We can't do that. We have experiences as a people, as a whole, as a collective. We have experiences that should pretty much debunk any notion that is appropriate within us, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I'm sure many disagree, and that's fine. I respect other people's opinion, but you won't see me display a sense of disrespect for people like I am in a position of power in this country, is to say, well, I'm above them, so I don't know that world. And if I had a bunch of money, I still wouldn't. For those of us who are wealthy, who think that we can act like that, you will be reminded that you should not be acting like that at some point. You'll see. Keep watching. But anyway, man, Stephen A., I don't think they're going to fire you, because I know if they fire you, there's going to be a serious bidding war between other networks that are going to be willing to pay you way more. And I don't think the network can really stand up in terms of ESPN without you. You're carrying them at this point. They're going to have to find some serious talent that they don't have right now in order to make firing you make sense. So I'm not calling for your job. I think it would be a suicide move for that place. All you would do is go to FS1, and that would be the kill switch for ESPN, in my opinion. So I don't think they're going to do that. I was more so disappointed in just some of the stuff that I've seen them do. Asking you to apologize about certain things, certain stances that they've taken. It just shows us, and I've made a video about this, and I don't want to make this about that, but it just shows us how far away they are from truly understanding. I get the feeling some organizations have displayed more of an understanding in that way. I look at the NBA, it seems like they've understood kind of how to play it a little better than ESPN has. It's in terms of what people, from my perspective, respect and what we appreciate. Because they haven't done it. There's a lot of people sounding off. We're looking dead at it. It doesn't look good, man. Kwame does and others who've been named should be addressed. I think it's time. I think we're in a space now where it's time for all of those sports commentators who have made a living off of bullying people. I think it's time for them to read the room. We're kind of not looking at it the same way anymore. And that train of thought is starting to spread. So I think you guys are going to find yourself looking at your numbers going in a different direction. The sway of public opinion is going towards something a little more inclusive and authentic as it pertains to not necessarily bashing people for attention, but more so giving us something that we can tangibly walk away with in terms of learning the games, in terms of learning about the players, in terms of learning about what the inner workings are within these organizations and how they can get better so that we can root for a better product. I don't think people want to hear about race anymore. I don't think people want to talk about some of the things that matter off the court as much. I think we're heading back into a space where we kind of do want to stop. We saw where that took us. We got something out of it. If we need to use it again, we will. But I don't think we need to be overly sensitive anymore. I think people want to get back to being distracted, to be completely honest with you. The world's opening back up. We all have a heightened understanding of what we're about, and we will voice our opinions when it's time to, each and every time. But I don't think we need to be pandered to anymore. And I feel like we have been pandered to a lot. I think people are over that. I think what we're looking at right now is authenticity. People are being called out. People are rebelling. People are trying to make real changes. People are appreciating authenticity. Even in music, we want you to live what you say and mean what you say. And don't do all that lying. We're reading through all that lying. We've seen what trolling does. We've been through the 6ix9ine era. We've been through all that. We want authenticity on both sides. People who are conservatives as well as the most liberal. Everybody seems to just want people to be more mindful and more free of thought. And all these applied formulas that y'all been giving us for so long, you can see it in so many different forms. People are rebelling against it. It's the age of information. We can double check everything you tell us. So lying to people and not being thorough doesn't fly anymore. And most importantly, if you're gonna sound ignorant, people are gonna call you out on it. Everyone has a voice. So that's where we're at, man. And I hope I've provided that type of insight at the end of this video for anybody who may be watching it, who may be in a position to consider what I'm saying, because that's exactly what's going on. It's a change here. So yeah, Stephen A. Smith, his apology is what it is, man. I don't think that came from a place of from his heart. I think what he said came from his heart. I think he truly does feel that way, and I think that he might be actually disgusted by it, but nevertheless, it came off as callous. And if what he's saying is accurate, or if what his assessment is accurate, baseball has a big problem. And I think they're going about it the right way by shining a bright light on this phenomenal player who happens to be Japanese. That's the way to go, man. Don't talk to me about race no more. That's the room. We don't want to hear it. Let's talk about the athlete. What is he doing? What is he doing? If there's a problem, the people will let you know. Bottom line. Thank you guys for watching. My name is BDF44 and I'm out.